Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
I named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man who loves a galaxy far, far away, but in animated form. Frank, how are you today?
I'm good, Tim. I am my cartoon version of myself with where my beard is like one giant block that doesn't move. It's more like a helmet that I wear under my face. Yeah. So that's what's going on with me. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. My hair actually now comes out into little spiky talons at the back of my head for extra neck protection, Frank.
That's great. Yeah, none of that pesky back of the neck kind of, no one's going to get you from behind anymore. Now,
Nope.
I got neck talons.
Nope, exactly. No one's going to slap my neck anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what,
take that.
Yeah.
Neck talons.
Take neck talons. Yeah. Frank, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about this with you, and I'm excited to sip a couple of beers. Speaking of which, what are you sipping?
I am sipping a Decadent orange cream pop.
Ooh.
Decadent ale. So it is a India pale ale with vanilla extract and orange puree. It is from Decadent Ales, which is from Stratford, Connecticut. And I actually only took one sip, but I couldn't really tell you what it's like, so I'm going to do another one right now.
That sounds amazing. Also, when you said Decadent, I was like, ooh, that sounds decadent. And then that's actually the name of the brewery. Huh.
It's really, really pale for an India pale ale.
Uh-huh.
It's very light, almost like sipping on iced tea or lemonade kind of light.
Okay.
But with a slight hop, not too much. I would almost say definitely not a lot for an India pale ale. It's good. I'm having this kind of warm. It's not cold because I just bought it tonight.
Okay.
And when I got home, it had only been in the fridge for about 15-20 minutes before we started.
Okay. So it's a little like room temp or close.
A little close to that. It's good. I don't love it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. We don't have to love them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
Is it very like orange creamsicle flavored?
It's less orange creamsicle than I imagined, and maybe that's why I'm thrown off by it.
That's fair. Because it doesn't sound like it's very sweet.
It's not. Okay. No, I expected more of a dessert beer, and this is more orange, less cream pop.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah, I do like it, but it is not what I anticipated. But I can definitely drink one or two of these in one sitting, as opposed to maybe I'll finish one. It's real heavy.
Right. It's light enough that you could have a couple of them.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay, right on.
What are you drinking?
I'm also drinking an IPA. I'm enjoying a Tröegs Blizzard of Hops Winter IPA. We are in the waning days of winter now, and so I'm clearing out the winter beers here in my fridge. And Blizzard of Hops Winter IPA. It is a very straightforward, fairly hoppy but not overly so. And it's kind of hazy color, but not overwhelming. I could have a couple of these also. IPAs I'll sometimes just stick to like one and then move on to something a little lighter. But I could have a couple of these and be okay. It's definitely a little hoppier than I would normally go with like some for more than a couple in a row, but I like it enough that I would. It's not as heavy as a lot of winter beers are, and this is called a winter IPA. It's definitely not like a Sam Winter Warmer or something that is like like quite heavy. It's pretty light as far as those go. It's kind of a lighter, hazy, golden type of IPA. So yeah, I'm into it. I like it. I feel like I say I'm into it a lot. But yeah, I feel like this is a good one. I feel we've got two good ones. You got to start keeping me honest now if I say I'm into it.
I will listen. It's like that time when we were interviewing somebody. I don't remember who, and it's for Supergirl TV Talk years ago, and you kept saying "man."
Yeah,
do you remember
hey man.
that?
Oh, I love
hey
that, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
And you texted me on the side. You're like, you keep calling him man. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
He has a name.
Yeah.
And it's Elephant. No, I don't know.
Oh, that's funny. So
that's great.
let's talk about some Star Wars. It's been a minute.
Star Wars: The Clone Wars, because Disney Plus is currently is rolling out its season 7.
That's right.
And Rise of Skywalker comes out on March 17th. Actually, digital HD, which is crazy. Like I just saw it.
I know. I know. It's nuts. It just came out of theaters like 2 weeks ago as we're recording.
I know.
This, and now
I think it actually still is in some theaters because they were talking about still like one of those like bijou type.
Oh, like the
second string theaters. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know where there's a second run theater around me. I've never. Here's the thing. I don't think I've ever been to a second run theater.
Really?
Growing up in New York, we didn't have any around, and if there is one around me now, I don't know where. So I've never been to a dollar theater. I didn't know dollar theaters were a thing until I was like 18, and a friend from the South told me that they went to the dollar theater. I was like, "What is this magical place? You pay $1 and see a movie? This is legal?"
I know. It's cheaper to. It's not even like Redbox is more expensive, and I got to drive there to get it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyhow, yeah, that's crazy that St. Patrick's Day it'll be out on digital, but we are talking about Clone Wars, and I'm really excited.
So you said St. Patrick's Day. I was like, this could be a lot of drunk, angry nerds tweeting about Star Wars that day. Not even just angry, drunk and angry.
Yeah.
Either
those are
that
our
or they're
people.
going to be
Drunk, angry Star Wars nerds. Those are our people.
That's right.
No, we're the drunk, happy Star Wars nerds.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. Oh, my goodness, yeah. So anyway, let's talk about Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Frank. Did you watch it when it was originally on?
Oh, yes.
Yes. I didn't know this. We never talk about Clone Wars.
No,
so
we haven't really. Yeah, no, I was there day and date. I was there. I was super excited for it, like knew it was coming. Went and saw the movie, right, when it was out in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Was not overly impressed with the movie at first.
Samesies.
But decided I was going to power through anyway. Then the show started. I don't know how long, not long after that. And I was watching it from day one. I remember the first couple episodes were about Yoda. So yeah, from season 1, right from the beginning, I watched it, and then I trailed off somewhere in season 4. But I was watching it every week for the first like 3.5 seasons, and then around season 4, I puttered out. I kind of lost steam. But then I recently just caught up in anticipation of season 7 starting. So I am all caught up. I've been watching. As we record this, there have been 2 new episodes of season 7. I've watched those as well. I am up to date. But what's your story? Did you watch it from the start?
I did not watch it. Well, sort of. I watched the movie. I went to the theaters to see in the movie, and the WB logo came up, and I was like, "What is this monstrosity?" Yeah, the WB logo came up, and I let me see. When did Clone Wars come out? It came out after Sith.
Yeah, it was
so
like 2008.
I was 8, 9. So I was in college. So yeah. So yeah, we were friends. By that point, I guess. So I watched that movie in theaters, and I was like, "Ooh, this is not good. Do not like." No,
it was just it was still very like overly child friendly with Sky Guy and R2E and those kind of things.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, Ahsoka was originally like sort of there to appeal to the children.
Right, and I didn't take to Ahsoka originally because I was like, what is this nonsense of Anakin having a Padawan but he's not granted the rank of master, and and like she's never mentioned. And I like kind of went through all these different phases of fandom where I was like, this is not right. I do not like the changes that they have made to these to the Star Wars mythos. So so I backed out of Clone Wars early. Like very early, just the movie. I said, nope, not for me. I'm going to be fine. And then a couple years later, I was working at a camp, and like we had like desk duty, summer desk duty, for the dorms and everything like that. Sure. And there was nothing to do except like, especially when everybody was off doing stuff, was just you just sat there. You didn't do anything. And so I watched the first 2 seasons of Clone Wars, and I wish I hadn't stopped, but I did. Whereas I gave it a shot. I like Ahsoka now. I'm fine with these changes and all of that stuff. But it's still a little kiddie for me. And I couldn't get... And I was like, I got to watch all the episodes. And I couldn't get past some of like the droid episodes. Some of the clone episodes didn't do it for me. And so I backed off until Disney Plus, actually. Where I found a really good list online. It was about 66 episodes. It was like, these are the non-kiddie, essential to the story. You will get a great flavor of everything if you watch these episodes. And I said, great. So I did. And it was awesome. Yeah.
It is. I love it. So I started. So similarly, when I picked it back up, when I caught up from like mid-season 4 through to present day, I didn't use a list. I probably should have. But what I did instead was, I used to be a completist. I used to watch every single episode. And the clone ones and the droid ones were also not that interesting to me, even back in the day, even when it was first airing. The stuff that I cared about most were like the core characters, right? Whereas was Obi-Wan and Anakin and Ahsoka, who I also came around to. At first didn't care for her, but then came around to her in a big way. I really love her now. But
yeah, it took Rebels for me to like really turn on Ahsoka.
I haven't seen the Ahsoka episodes of Rebels. I jumped off the Rebels bandwagon real early. But I do want to go back and find those now. But what I did do was I watched from season 4, mid-season 4 onward, and I just like when I got to an episode that I didn't like, it was clearly going to be an arc, because by this point they were doing like 4 episode arcs. When I got to an arc that was like, all right, this is very clone centric, very droid centric, and I'm not really into it, I would just skip the rest of that arc, and I would read the description and say, oh, okay, looks like this one we're back on track with the characters that I'm invested in. I'm going to jump back in here. So I would skip arcs here and there. But mostly watched, get all caught up. How did you find it watching this, like the 66 episode, 66, like Order 66? How did you find it doing it this way?
Great. I had no problems. There were definitely some episodes that, like, I know we're probably gonna get like flack for not liking the clone episodes, but like, it's just not why I like Star Wars. They're not. They just aren't. I'm not invested in them. I'm invested enough to be like, it's Rex.
Yeah,
or
Rex
it's Cody.
Cody. Yeah, a couple of them that got developed as characters, I am a little more invested in, but by and large, not as much.
No, and I think they're like, I can look at them and be like, these episodes are well made. Like there's that. Hold on, I'll pull up I'm gonna have the list because I'm gonna break the rule of one lookup just because there are so many episodes.
That's fair.
But the season 5, the War on Two Fronts.
Oh yeah,
I think Front Wars, the soft. I think those are the ones that I think. Oh no, I'm thinking of Lux the. Maybe I'm thinking of clone-centric episodes that have some illuminating things to say about the state of the Jedi Order. So the general plan of descent in Carnage of Krell, where like that Jedi Master's like, oh, you can all go die. It doesn't matter to me.
Clones are just disposable. Like he sends them out there to die. Yeah.
Yeah. So I watched those and I was like, these are really well-made episodes. And they do give you great insight into clones and all that stuff. But I'm like, but this is like, I can recognize that, and I'm still slightly disinterested. It's just that section of Star Wars is not for me.
Yep.
But they are beautiful episodes, and I will say, as the show goes, it is really, really stunning. Some of the I guess the animated cinematography.
Yeah, the animation really, really got amazing in the later seasons. In the early seasons, it was okay. I made that joke about my beard being like one piece. I mean, it's because and the Rebel Force Radio guys used to joke all the time about how Obi-Wan's hair just looked like a helmet.
It does.
I mean, in the early seasons especially, it just looks like one unit. But then as time went on, they I don't know if it was budget or whatever it was, but they changed the character models a little bit, and the wind would flow in their hair a little bit and stuff like that. And it got the planet landscapes were gorgeous, especially in those later seasons when they went to some interesting places.
Even season 2 with Mandalore and things like that, it's really interesting designs, really production designs, and it was of a Star Wars era where they could do different things, but it still felt like Star Wars. Whereas it's here's another desert planet, that we're sitting in the era of interesting architecture, I guess, and in Star Wars, and I wish that we could see that in other things as opposed to a desert planet, or something like that.
Sure.
It's sometimes we miss it's not just about the topography, but it's also the cities
That's right.
The man-made structures really make a difference. So I guess we're in agreement that Jedi's rule and clone episodes are fine. What about bounty hunter episodes?
Those kind of depend for me. The Mandalore, I mean, not that they're really bounty hunters, but the Mandalore episodes I thought were really interesting. I liked that stuff a lot. I'm trying to think of other bounty hunter arcs. I remember liking that stuff. Okay.
There was the box episode where all the bounty hunters got gathered together and they had to do that maze thingy-majig and stuff.
Yes.
I really liked that episode.
I liked that. Yep.
Yeah, I liked how that led into this assassination attempt and all this stuff. And again, bounty hunters not my thing as much, but I enjoyed the Saw-ish aspect. Of it. Or the movie Cube, I guess, if it was kind of like that. Whatever the inspiration was. Again, outside the box thinking.
You know what? So speaking of bounty hunters, I really liked the arc where Obi-Wan goes undercover as a bounty hunter, with those
yes
convicts, escaped convicts.
That's the same Those
is that
are
the one
same,
you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah, those are the same ones. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty sure.
I liked that a lot. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Was cool. That was different. It was very different for the show, because he had a whatever face changing technology to look like, and he was supposed to have been dead and all this stuff. Yeah, I liked that a lot.
I did too. I like how the show started to show how war started to make the Jedi morally ambiguous without them even realizing it, and then it commented on such things. So when the Jedi do fall, you can sense that a part of it is their own fault, but then also how much Sidious had really orchestrated the fall of everything.
That's so true. You do get this sense of I would say at the beginning of the show, it felt like things like Ahsoka being there were sort of how does all this stuff happen between episodes 2 and 3 that we never heard about, never heard referenced or anything? How can that be? But by the time you get to the to season 5 or 6 even, you do start to get that wow, there are so many things happening that do tie in to Revenge of the Sith, and that do sort of feel oh wow, I see how we got here. I see how we got to this place where maybe in Revenge of the Sith certain things felt like they happened really quickly. Things like Anakin trusting the Emperor the way that he did, and but watching this show and following 5-6 seasons of those characters getting to know each other and interacting, it really makes it more. It makes it pay off better. It makes Revenge of the Sith pay off better, I think, and explains a lot of that stuff, especially the way that the Jedi sort of fell and didn't see the deception that was going on around them and all that kind of stuff.
Yep, and even the relationship between Anakin and Padme gets good enough padding that you like when they're the chemistry actually they have in the show is better than it is in the films.
I think that's true.
Yeah, like you feel like they're a unit and a team, but they never really discuss themselves that way. But you can sense their cohesion. That's challenge. I think that's challenging for a show to pull off.
Yeah,
and
yeah, it's true. It's true.
And the show doesn't shy away from its space politics either. Some of they went in for the Senate hearings and the stuff like that, and I was there for that because I like space politics. I like the politics of Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, again, maybe it's because we're of that generation, right? And so we grew up with that stuff in episodes 1, 2, and 3. So maybe that's just we're more predisposed to it. But I kind of enjoy that, especially like once you're bought in on like the system and also like knowing where it's going to go. To me, it's interesting to watch it unfold.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Another thing the show did really well was its villains.
Yes,
because you've got your Asajj Ventress, you've got your Savage Opress, you've got Dooku behind the scenes for a lot of it, and then you've got Darth Maul of all things, come back from the dead, or not quite dead, and it's
and Grievous.
Stuff.
Don't forget
General Grievous, of course,
the good general, the one where I think it's in the first season where they go to General Grievous's base and lair thing, the House of Grievous or whatever. That's good. That was like pretty scary. It was pretty scary.
It was good stuff. I remember the whole Night Sisters arc, where Savage Opress came about. I saw that the Night Sisters arc, and then forgive me, the one like right before it, the Mortis trilogy.
Yes.
Those two arcs, I'm definitely Night Sisters and possibly Mortis as well. I got to see on a big screen in a theater. Yeah, I was, as you know, I had an internship in college, where I got to do a lot of cool stuff. I was like writing for a sci-fi, like geek blog, geek news website, as part of this internship. And so I had press access to a lot of cool things at the time. And one of them was I got to go to, they did a press premiere of the Mortis trilogy and of the Night Sisters arc. They strung the episodes together as like a movie. So like Mortis was like a movie and Night Sisters was like a movie. For press to come review before the episodes aired.
Cool.
And like we were embargoed and all this stuff, so I could write about it, but I couldn't release it until the episodes actually were airing on TV. And it was really cool. I got to watch like the Night Sisters thing happen on TV and on a big screen in New York, and like knowing that like this was Darth Maul's brother and all this stuff. Not knowing they'd ever bring Darth Maul into the show, but just knowing like, oh cool, like they managed to like create a brother character for him. Like that's cool. Like that was cool enough in its day. Not knowing that like later that season or the next season they'd actually bring Darth Maul about, and it'd be even cooler.
I think it's the next season because the introduction of Savage and everything like that really feels like we can't do Maul, so let's do a version.
That's
and
what
then
it felt like, yeah.
Someone's like, well, can we do both? I'm like, yes, we can. Because once Maul shows up, Savage really gets the shaft. They like do this like good job at building Savage up to be this formidable foe, and then Maul shows up and Savage like says 2 words,
and he becomes the apprentice, and that's it.
Right, the end. Yeah, yep. It's just it's Maul now.
I will say,
but that's okay.
It is when they get to fight Sidious. What
I think that
awesome
was my
battle.
I think that was my favorite scene of the whole show.
That's one of the best fights in all of Star Wars, like, period.
Agreed.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Sidious with 2 lightsabers. And I'm like, that was cool. But it also goes to show he didn't even, like, pull out the second one to fight Mace Windu. You know, if you, like, think of it like that, in, like, how powerful he is and how much he toys with people, like, that's where the show really, really works, because it never really talks about itself and doesn't comment, but you can string those things together. You can think about like, oh, he wasn't even he was play acting.
That's
because
right.
he didn't even bother to use 2 lightsabers.
That's right. The depths of his deception at all times, and the layers that there are always under the surface with him. Like you're never seeing the full Sidious, right? Like look at Rise of Skywalker, like another whole layer, right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I love that we got the Darksaber in that battle and like in that season, which we then saw at the end of the Mandalorian.
That's right.
Which I only was thinking about this the other day. Darksaber in Clone Wars was kept by Pre Vizsla, who was voiced by Jon Favreau, who's the showrunner of The Mandalorian.
Oh, he was. I never looked it up, but yes, it was Jon. I know this voice. And I don't know why.
It was Jon Favreau, and then he ends up doing The Mandalorian, and the Darksaber makes its way over there. So
that's good. Special place in his heart.
Yeah,
that
really.
is very cool. That is very cool. I had a question, and
of course, Dave Filoni involved in both shows too.
Yes, of course. I had a question, and it just completely blanked out of my. Oh, how do you feel? Because I know Ian Abercrombie, the man who voiced Sidious and Palpatine, passed away before season 5.
Yeah,
I think. And so Tim Curry took over. I thought Ian Abercrombie was like, wow, just like good for you. Like you're doing a spot on job. Tim Curry made it his own, and because it's Tim Curry. And how do you feel about Tim Curry's Emperor Palpatine or Chancellor Palpatine and Sidious?
It wasn't quite the same in the later seasons as it had been with Ian Abercrombie. For sure, I still enjoyed it. It didn't take me out by any stretch of the imagination. It didn't like distract me, but it wasn't quite the same. It wasn't as much. It was less of an impersonation and more of like a characterization, like you know a different take on the character. So, but I liked it.
Yeah, I'm about the same. Fun fact: did you know that Ian Abercrombie played Alfred Pennyworth in the WB's Birds of Prey?
No, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's
for
cool.
The 13 episodes that show was on. Yep, those are the only 2 things I've ever seen him in. No, I've probably seen him in one more thing. I think I'm actually positive, but now I can't think of what it is. But yeah, he has played 2 very iconic nerd characters.
Do you know who voiced Darth Maul?
Yes, Sam Witwer.
Yeah,
yeah, Sam Witwer.
Yeah, and he killed it.
Star Killer himself. Yeah,
yes,
he really did. Because I'm slightly surprised that Peter Serafinowicz, like maybe I don't know if he was approached or not, because why not?
Why not?
He was the original voice of Maul, but Sam Witwer, like really
he brought it.
He did.
Didn't Sam Witwer voice the Emperor in a game too?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
and I don't know which. Oh, it was the new battle, Star Wars Battlefield, something or other.
Oh yeah,
Battlefront
2.
Yep.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yep. Yeah, Electric Boogaloo. Excellent. I'm pretty sure that's where he voiced the character because he was Star Killer in the Force Unleashed games.
Yes.
But he made Maul an interesting character. I like I really want to know how this Maul gets to Solo. That's what.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to know. And also, does it ever say who gave him spider legs and things like that?
I think that there's some dialogue that glosses over it, like how he got here. I've been here for however many years, whatever. Like, I think they sort of vaguely, hand-wavy address it, but not specifically.
Right. Because I wonder if that was something that is going to be addressed in this season 7.
I bet you anything there's
Clone
a novel
Wars.
or a comic that addresses it too.
That's probably true, but I do not have that inside information. But
Same.
maybe I'll do some digging. What about those last Yoda episodes of season 6, like the lost Yoda episodes? Like to Dagobah I must go. And,
Right, yeah.
How did you feel about those episodes?
Those were I mean, it was cool that we got the Qui-Gon connection.
Yes, that's twice that Liam Neeson was like, "Yeah, I'll come back for Star Wars, no problem."
Yeah, so that was cool.
Well, 3 times if you count Rise of Skywalker.
If you count Rise of Skywalker, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, no, that was definitely cool. It was a little out there visually, and sort of the like whole thing of like the Sith, like, but I mean, I guess so was like the Mortis stuff is pretty out there.
Yeah.
Whenever they talked like Force mythology, light side, dark side mythology in the show, it definitely got a little heady. Very, very heady for what is ostensibly a kids show, a Cartoon Network kids show.
It actually felt like it was influenced by Avatar: The Last Airbender, which can also get that way.
Which, Dave Filoni did that too.
No, I don't think so.
Yes.
Did he direct it?
Yes,
because he wasn't the showrunner on it.
Maybe he wasn't the showrunner, but he was. I thought he was the showrunner, but I know that he was involved in it.
I know for a fact he wasn't the show. I know for a fact he wasn't the showrunner.
Okay, all right. I may be wrong about that, but I know he was involved in it. And that was his big one of his big claims to fame.
He was a storyboard artist on Avatar,
and he directed 9 episodes.
And he directed 9 episodes.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I knew he was involved in it. But if it feels familiar, that's probably why. That similar sensibility.
He directed a lot of the episodes in the first. He directed a lot of episodes in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like some of the best ones.
Yeah, that was what I knew him from when Clone Wars started. Like what people would say, like, "Oh, this guy Dave Filoni, he worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender." That was like his biggest credit at the time.
And that was in 2005, and then he jumps to Clone Wars. So he basically worked on Avatar and then took what he did on Avatar and applied it to Clone Wars.
Exactly. So that's why the Force stuff feels like the Avatar stuff.
Yeah, very much, Eastern influence. But so is Star Wars. So it actually, to me, it fits really well.
He worked super closely with George Lucas all throughout the series, but especially in the early days, like they were collaborators.
Yeah.
In a big way. So,
the final question before we wrap up, your favorite question, my favorite question, favorite new character introduced in the Clone Wars.
That's an easy one. Ahsoka.
Ahsoka is your favorite.
What character development? I mean, she started kind of annoying, if I'm being honest, and I was really I struggled in a big way with. How was she never referenced in any of the films? Like if she was his Padawan and they were this close, how was she never referenced? How did we forget about her between episodes 2 and 3? And the character development that happened with her, and then sort of the fall from grace at the end there, like it and I guess we still haven't seen the resolution of it. We're going to get more in season 7, but I buy it now in a way that I didn't buy it before. So I love Ahsoka. She's my favorite new character.
That's cool.
And to sort of close the loop on something I was saying before, I want to find the episodes of Rebels that she was in. Like I want to find a list kind of like this, and this list of Clone Wars episodes that you sent me, I put it in show notes for anyone who's curious and who wants to get on board. The list is in show notes. I want to find a list like that of all the Ahsoka episodes of Rebels so I can just watch those and get more Ahsoka because I love that character so much.
Yeah, she's in a good chunk of Rebels, like a really good chunk of Rebels. So you're gonna end up watching a lot of Rebels.
That's fine. I am invested enough in the character that I want to.
Yeah, after season 1, you'll get a lot after because she's not in season 1 until the end. I think it's like surprise, there she is.
Yeah.
I would say for me it's Asajj Ventress. That's another character whose arc I could really I could get in on.
That's a great character.
It is. It's because it's not really a redemption arc, and that's what I like about it. Like she never really becomes a great person, but she learns self-reliance, I guess. It's almost like it's almost like watching somebody get freed from a cult, but never truly get back to a good life. I'm down for that, and I like the design. She was just she was cool.
She was so cool. I think she came from the Clone Wars micro
the cartoon.
series. Yeah, the
Samurai
the
Jack.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Gendy Tartakovsky series.
Yes,
I think
you.
she was in that too. I know Grievous was in that one, and Dooku.
yes, that is technically not canon anymore.
I know.
Like
Yeah. You can't. It's been out of print
fit.
for years. Like even before the Disney acquisition, you couldn't buy it anywhere.
I know. I actually have it. Pretty sure.
I got bootleg copies of it in college that I think I still have kicking around somewhere. But
nice.
But the DVD, I remember a time when you could buy the DVD for that series, the whole series, on like 2 discs, at like CVS, and now it's out of print.
Yep. I know. That's what a time machine. Time machine, man, could have been so helpful. But I think that who was like the character, like when they showed up and you weren't expecting them to show up? What was the character you were like, ooh, like
Chewie.
That's exciting? Chewie, yeah, right on, Chewie.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot. I even forgot Chewie was in it. Forgot Chewie was in it
because they nailed the Peter Mayhew movements and everything. Like they really
did. They
did a good job. Yeah, they did go for it. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you have one?
For me, I would say soon to be Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah,
I think that was.
And Steven Stanton's voice work on that was beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. He was terrific, and I love Tarkin. Interesting character, visually striking even though he's just a dude. It's cool. It's cool.
Very cool.
Those are the bits, and I love them. So, Frank, where can the people find us?
They can find us at beerwithgeeks.com or thoughtbubbleaudio.com. That's our network. That's where this show and a whole bunch of our other podcasts are all available. Our podcasts and podcasts from lots of our friends who make other great shows. So check those out at thoughtbubbleaudio.com. Check us out on Apple Podcasts or Overcast or Stitcher or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. I guarantee it. And if we're not, let us know. We'll be there. You can email us at beerwithgeeks@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at beerwithgeeks on Twitter. And please leave us ratings and reviews on iTunes, on the Apple Podcast Store, because that does help us tremendously and help spread the word. So we do appreciate those ratings and reviews. Even just a quick click of 4 or 5 stars really, really helps us a long way. So please do that if you are feeling so inclined. And support us on Patreon at patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio. Throw a couple bucks our way and help us keep these shows going. It costs a little bit of money for us to do it. We love doing it, but we would love to do it with your support. So please help us out there as well. And I think those are all the places that people can find us.
All right. Well, then that's great. Well, Frank, then until next time, cheers.
Cheers.